brand. That was in over 200 stores, and we had 3 locations. We were actually on the legendary Telegraph in Berkeley. I had entertainment business. I had a content marketing, content creation where I was doing like pnice.com and a bunch of other model websites, and I was still doing club photography, and I was doing all this, and even wedding photography. I was a hustler. I would hustle because, like you said, when I was 26, I was able to purchase a house here in the Bay Area and was able to just do it without even having a regular 9-to-5 job. Right. And it was all through the hustle.
Hey, what's up everybody? Zen here with Closed One. Welcome to the Happy Hour edition. This is a channel where we enjoy a nice cup of joe while covering basic sales tips for first-time founders. Every week, we reshare motivational videos and talk to high-impact entrepreneurs. Our goal is to introduce you to people and ideas that will help you execute on your dreams. We'll talk about real-life experiences, examples that you can apply and practice immediately. Finally, we bake in sales strategies to help you make money, methods to help you close deals. Welcome, welcome. If you haven't done so, don't forget to smash subscribe. Let's do it.
The big game is very simple. If I know one person that did it, then there's a blueprint. And so, obviously I knew it was coming here and I did a little searching. One guy's like, yo, I was homeless. I got $10 from handouts. I caught your video because he had a phone. My service was cut off a month later, so I lost you. I didn't have it, but I had the $10. I heard you. I went and bought $10 worth of water at the bodega, went outside, sold it, made 20, kept building, and he remembered the thrift store flip. He walked in, he had $47. He bought a pair of Jordans that were in the thrift store for $19. He sold them for $57 on eBay. He just kept going and going and going and going and going and going. He didn't care what people were saying when he sold water outside. He didn't care what people said when he was going into every thrift store. He didn't give a fuck. He just kept going and going and going, saved up enough to turn back on his service, get a year's worth of service. Now he's back on the internet. Now he's really flipping stuff on Instagram and Amazon and eBay. And then he just kept going and he made thousands of dollars. Then he got an apartment. Like, my big thing is, what's your alternative? Like, what, are you gonna sit and fucking dwell?
When you have no money, how do you get started? Very simple. You get a fucking job. I don't care what job it is. Just get some money coming in, a little bit of money. Nothing wrong with that. I was working in a supermarket, making minimum wage, washing fucking cleaning toilets and stocking cans on the shelves. I went through that period of time. What's wrong with that, right? You cannot just say, oh, I've got so much pride, I'm gonna be a fucking entrepreneur. Get a fucking job. You can't even get a fucking job for being an entrepreneur, right? Do that first. Then in your spare time, the side hustle, right? On the side, then you can start something on the side.
Welcome to the show, man. I'm really excited to have you. So let's start from the very beginning. You were talking about being a party promoter. I'd like to know, why did you choose to become a party promoter? What mindset did you have when you were in high school? And with zero money, how did you get up and running?
First of all, thank you, Zen, for making me your very first guest on the Closed One show. So honored to be a part of it. I love your setup. Love how everything looks on what you have going on here too. So let's get on to what about me? I mean, you said back in high school. I'll take it back even further. I think I had an entrepreneur mindset when I was at elementary. It was one of those times where baseball cards were in at the time, right? It was one of those things where baseball cards were really hot, and I saw kids going to the liquor store spending 50 cents to 75 cents a pack to buy a pack of baseball cards. And I realized when I went to Costco one time with my dad, they're selling these boxes of baseball cards with 36 packs in them. And I thought to myself, if I sell them for 50 cents, I could actually still make more money than actually had someone spending them at the liquor store. So I knew the value of like, making a profit and how to make money like that way. It's one of those things where you just kind of like see a demand and you fill it. And I knew that at a very, very young age. And, from there, then into elementary, and then I got into in high school. I actually didn't start doing parties yet. That was in college. In high school, I actually was doing more of like t-shirts. I actually later on we'll talk about maybe how I actually started my clothing brand with my brother, but I actually was doing t-shirts design. We used to have like these crews, back in days, like during the time I was like, when I was growing up, I was like, gang banging was huge. I wasn't into that stuff, but we had still like these little brotherhoods, these crews and stuff like that. And in order for us, instead of like representing colors, like we didn't represent blue, red, or anything like that, but we wore t-shirts of the similar design to kind of represent us. And like my crew back then was called like Menace. And so I would have like a bunch of Menace designs. And then I already had an audience to buy it, right? It was my crew. And I actually made a little money doing that by like selling the designs. I knew if I had to come up with a new design, like a new Menace design, I would have at least 30 buyers. And then, I'd sell it for maybe like $20. And at the time, that's how much shirts cost. And then for me, when I would get at wholesale, I would, probably only spend like $12, right? So that's the part where I kind of growing into more of like that design part and how it progressed my career. But now onto like party promoting, man, that was something where it came out of the blue, because as you know, like I was talking about how I was into the design, right? And when I was doing design, I loved photography, and photography was something I actually did in high school. I did in college. And then from there, I was taking a bunch of photos of some models, right? And these models were like, I would find them at the clubs, or, just like, not necessarily models, but I say, hey, you want to like pose for me for like, be my model for my, college photography. It was for my college class, I didn't go around like the campus and like scout like models. And then from that, I actually developed a website, and that was actually that featured models. I would actually post the pictures I posted of these models. Instead of paying them, I asked them, hey, can I just do an exchange and just use your photos for my portfolio and just put them online? And then it started like getting a lot of traffic. And then when I was going to parties, I'd like invite these models, and then people saw me taking pictures at clubs. So I became like this club photographer at first. And then when people would use my photos, I would see my logo on every single photo, like on MySpace, on everyone's MySpace. The profile picture was having a logo that said Paul Andre Photography on there. And, going to all these clubs and, making like my name of myself, like, Paul Andre, people saw me walking around with these models around me all the time because, I was shooting models and recruiting them. I decided, someone asked like, hey, why don't you like do parties? You have a following of everyone that knows who you are from like taking other people's photos and taking all these model photos. And I felt like I can combine the two. So like the attraction was to have throw nightclub parties with the models I shoot and have them come in all for free. And it attracted a huge, the amount of people. Like they became like I had, don't get me wrong, like this is like when we had go-go dancers and stuff like that. Yeah. And it was like something that just picked up from there. And then, one of my largest party was maybe at the Cow Palace back in San Francisco. It was a Halloween party. It was
I remember
that. We had about 6,000 people. I did it with a few other promoters, but it was one of my biggest, most funnest party I've ever had. We had a concert and everything like that. And again, it was like I was able to bring two of my businesses that I had as a photographer and a content creator, and bringing like the models and everything and combining that and to create another business, which was my entertainment business, right? So that's how I actually got started with at least the nightclub scene. There's other things where I was able to start becoming an entrepreneur. Like I started my first business was, like I was in like when I was doing these photography stuff, part of the models were models I recruited from car shows. Import car shows were huge back in the Bay Area for at least Asian Americans. And it was like called import car shows. And so we would have like huge, like, or tricked out custom cars where they're like different, like nice rims. It's either no show, no go, or all show, no go, or it's like, hey, that's all show, no go, or that's all go, no show. I mean, it was a culture growing up here in the Bay Area, and even also down into LA. I believe it was like something called like Hot Import Nights. It was like Importorama. What else was there? There was like there's so many car shows going on too, where like, and this is at the same time the internet was coming out, and so this is something where I would actually, before like there was digital cameras, I would take photos at the clubs and at the car shows and scan hundreds and hundreds of actual prints. So it was expensive, but being one of the first ones to do that online, it just drove a massive amount of traffic. And then, you know, traffic is gold because you have that audience. You get the audience that you can sell anything to. I mean, well, whatever you have, you can have an audience to sell something to. A lot of people dream of success while I stay up working hard at it. I would say that all the time, say it to myself. And I actually found out just recently that Napoleon Hill, one of my favorite authors, I just started reading about maybe 3-4 years ago, actually said that, or something similar. It was something similar to that extent. And it was like, it came full circle when I started learning more about Napoleon Hill. And being able to balance all that was also my biggest failure. When you have so many businesses, I was I had a clothing brand that was in over 200 stores, and we had 3 locations. We were actually on the legendary Telegraph in Berkeley. I had entertainment business. I had a content marketing, content creation where I was doing like pnice.com and a bunch of other model websites, and I was still doing club photography, and I was doing all this, and even wedding photography. I was a hustler. I would hustle because, like you said, when I was 26, I was able to purchase a house here in the Bay Area and was able to just do it without even having a regular 9-to-5 job. Right. And it was all through the hustle. But again, it can get the best of you. It's like, it was like I mentioned, it's like you thin yourself out when you have so many different ventures. Unless, one of the things I've learned from it is that if you can at least find that person you trust and to and then have those, I guess, captains or, just people that can help run your businesses that you trust.
Your lieutenants.
Your lieutenants. But me being me, it's kind of hard, right? Because you have this quality control. Like one of my businesses ventures that failed was having a restaurant. I had a restaurant next to the store on Telegraph. It was like a ramen restaurant. And I found that I was looking at Yelp. I know you're not supposed to be doing this, but you look at Yelp, it's like I get great reviews the days when I'm there because I can do the quality control, I can taste the food or whatever it is, and you can keep the quality control. But when you have different cooks and when you have someone else that's kind of doing the quality control that doesn't have the same taste buds as you, it will backfire, and then you get all these other negative reviews. So it's like one of those things where it's like you really, really need to focus on that one thing. And unless, again, for me, it's a little bit difficult to find someone that can actually do what I want. Maybe it's because I'm picky or whatever it is, but it's pretty tough. One of the other, I guess, things that I would make sure I would pay attention to during my businesses is like handling finances. Finances is a huge, huge thing when it comes to starting a business. And if you're not if you try to let someone else handle it and you don't handle it, things just get really, really messy. And that's one of the things you have to really learn well. Personally and professionally. As an entrepreneur, as a financial business, but I myself, I had a house. I said had a house back in when I was 26 because I ended up losing the house because I wasn't financially educated. I was a young guy with all this money, spending, splurging, whatever. And I wish I knew what I knew now about investing. I didn't think about investing the money. I was just make the money and spend the money. There are some people that I knew that were doing club, some guys I know even to this day who are doing the exact same part as I was, who knew how to save, who knew how to invest, are just like multimillionaires right now. And I mean, it's just one of the things that you just have to really pay attention to as an entrepreneur. It's like handling your finances, handling well.
There was a time where I had to live out of a van just to save money so that I could buy this house here in Las Vegas. A lot of people, they can't really start their business. Like, they have a lot of ideas. I think they can't really execute because they're just afraid to fail. How did you turn those failures into this fire, this fuego that just helps you keep on going and going and going, the way Gary Vee basically said in the first tip?
Well, I mean, your failures become your learning experiences. If you don't fail, you're never going to learn. I can tell anyone something, but they will not listen to me unless they did it themselves and failed, because it becomes that learning experience. So you have to fail in order to get that learning experience. But then again, it's like, if you have that open mindset and you can learn from other people's failures, I think that's the shortcut to success. I mean, if you have no ego and you can just like listen to things, I'll say that's one of my failures too. Having an ego was one of the biggest things that I wish I did not have when I was younger, and being able to accept feedback, because like I thought I was the bomb, and I was like, hey, no, I'm untouchable. But no. Now when I look back at things, I was like, man, I wish I didn't have an ego. I wish I kind of like took a step back and took feedback and learn, like, listen to what other people are seeing, because, I was just narrow-minded instead of like growth-minded and like open-minded, and being able to learn from like the failures is huge. But like another thing where I feel like one of my lessons is, again, I did mention like the finances, being able to handle your finances, and good habits. I had actually some bad habits like back in the days. Not sleeping is a bad habit. Like how he said, don't sleep. And now I need my 8 hours, and I enjoy my 8 hours, and I can still wake up really early in the morning and be super productive. Maybe when we're younger, like we can get by with that, but sleeping is one of the biggest things. I feel like, getting that rest where you can like really fully concentrate. It's like, it's everything what I do. It's like, whether it's I'm working on something, whether I'm going to like do an activity, getting that rest, you'll get like your full performance. Being able to have people that you can trust, like having, being able to find like that supportive group. Like if I wish like I knew more about masterminds. Like, masterminds back nowadays is something that I truly believe in, because if you have a mastermind, like my SEO video show came out of a mastermind. It's something where you tell in front of people what you're going to do, and you're held accountable for it. Back then, not having a mastermind, not being accountable, not being held accountable, it's like you can let things slide by. Like, oh, I'll do it next week. Oh, I'll handle that later. But being able to have like a mastermind, a group of people that will hold you accountable is huge. Like, I think that's a really big goal. And that's actually something that came out of Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill, one of my favorite books.
You're hitting all the spots right now, because ego, that is my number one failure too. I have a big ego, fell on my face many times because of it. And so this year, that's definitely one of my meditations. Sleep. I love sleep now. I sleep so much. Char's like, dude, you're sleeping at like 8 o'clock. But I love waking up at 5 and like pushing myself to wake up at 4. So I'm trying to be in the 4 a.m. crew. But mastermind, this is the biggest failure I've faced. I think it is important to surround yourself with people that are going to support you, but not only just support you, but someone that you're going to learn from. And this is what I love about you, Dre, because you're always doing something to push yourself. And I see you and I watch you and I'm just like, oh my God, like Dre is just like stepping up. His show is getting better and better and better. I'm just like, how do I do this? And so this is the first episode. I am inspired by you. So this is it. So this is kind of like me applying what I've learned from you. So define for our audience your version of a growth mindset. And okay, tell them about the time your roof fell over your head. Well, it fell off. Your roof fell, literally. Give us examples of things that you do intentionally, actionable examples that you do intentionally to push yourself.
Actual examples that I do to push myself. Well, as you can see behind me, learning is huge. Like I'm a forever learner. There's 1 year where I read maybe about 38 books, 38 books. Like there's a lot more. I probably only read about maybe 60% of the books behind me, and being able to like learn new things, apply them, and also knowing what you are weak in and working at it. Like I was a very, very, being a priority promoter, I was not as shy speaking on the mic or speaking on camera. But when I entered the corporate world, I kind of got a little intimidated and shy, and I didn't know how to really communicate, because I come from like not necessarily the street, but you can't talk slang I can't talk the way I talk in a corporate environment. So you have to learn how to speak slow. You got to learn how to like pause and stop saying ums, ahs, and urs and all these little things that we do on the street.
Yada
to call each other. Yada. I mean, we can't do that. And it's funny because I've seen it, like when it does slip when I first started, like when I first entered the corporate world around 2011 or something like that. I was turning 2012, and when I see it slip, you just see a blank stare. They're like, what do you say? And it's so being able to like work on my speech, my communication skills was something that I saw that I was weak in. I worked at it. I saw that hey, if I wanted to do more, if I know how to do marketing, it's a skill set, I need to learn how to sell it. So I started reading sales books and learn how to sell certain things. If I wanted to do more like maybe paid advertising and stuff like that, I would learn how to do that. And, and I'll go like really, really deep in. So like right now, just recently, I started the show, the SEO Video Show. It's a live stream. I did not know how to live stream at all. I first learned about live streaming back when we were in lockdown last year around February. So I bought some courses. I took about three months to like kind of learn the whole thing, learn the software, learn what services are out there, testing some equipment. And then from March, April, May, and then March, April, May, June, and then July, I actually started the show after 3 months of just learning about it. And being able to just teach yourself new things is something that I feel will open up your mind. Having that growth mindset will open up yourself to like new possibilities and opportunities that you can create for yourself. Like right now, I'm not making any money or anything like that from the SEO Video Show, but I love doing it. I'm having fun doing it. I'm learning a lot from it because there's a part of the show where I have to do some research on certain things. And by the time I'm doing the research, I learn while I'm doing research. And then at the same time, when I talk about it on the show, I'm learning again by kind of like, saying it out to the world.
Becoming a successful entrepreneur isn't easy, but it's not impossible. Subscribe to my channel today, and together, let's figure out how to grow.